Thank you to our sponsor, MBA Growth Partners.
Welcome to Studio 501c3. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Kim Jones, and we're featuring nonprofit organizations that have a 501c3 designation from the IRS because they are charities that provide a public benefit. In most cases, your donations to these nonprofits are tax deductible. My guest today is Beata Okulska, Executive Director of Kids Enjoy Exercise Now, Greater DC. Kids Enjoy Exercise Now acronym is KEEN, K-E-E-N. Beata, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, an opportunity to introduce KEEN to your audience.
Yeah, so let's talk about the pillars. You exist on this pillar to provide free recreational opportunities to children and young adults with disabilities, and you pair them with volunteers. So tell us a little bit more about that mission.
Sure. KEEN provides sports and recreational activities, as you've mentioned, for kids, teens, and young adults with profound disabilities. Things that make KEEN unique is the fact that we accept every child, despite of the nature of a child's disability. We also provide programs for volunteers who want to work with kids with special needs. So the whole idea behind KEEN is that every child with special need, and we call our participant athletes, they exercise, work with one volunteer at our session. So basically, it is one-on-one environment at our programs. We also, organization is also really managed by young professional volunteers who are committed to our programs. And the very important part is the fact that all our programs are completely free of charge for our families. Once a family registers their child into our programs, they basically can stay until 25 years old without re-registering. Our sessions are also on a regular basis throughout the school year on weekends, which it's helping kids with special needs to get into specific routine.
And you talked about the volunteers that you have that are working with the youth and the young adults. And so I would call them coaches, but they're actually, like you said, professional volunteers. How do you go about finding that whole network of support with the volunteer community?
The volunteers are truly backbones of our organization. Mm-hmm. We are reaching out to different local universities. We have a lot of university groups coming to our programs, but we also are, I would say, quite popular among teenagers from local high schools. Mm-hmm. And we have a big group of students from Montgomery County high schools or private schools that are involved with STEAM. And one aspect of KEEN that often we don't talk a lot is the fact that our programs and our athletes with special needs actually provide a huge community service to our volunteers, because many of our volunteers never been in touch with person with special needs. Mm-hmm. And our athletes teach our volunteers how to be open-minded, how mm-hmm. to be sensitive, changing the perception on life and value in life. So, this is really win-win for everyone with STEAM.
That's an incredible two-way street. And I imagine for your athletes, it helps to increase their own self-esteem and their confidence in their ability to give back to the community.
Absolutely. Many of our athletes, they have autism and they have different disabilities that prevent them in many cases to participate in community leagues, other groups, more organized activities. at our programs, everyone is accepted, and the fact that each athlete has his own volunteer, that will give them opportunity to explore their own abilities and have fun and socialize. Quite often it's a challenge for kids with special needs to socialize outside of their very close network. So we are giving this opportunity to both athletes and our volunteers to be very open-minded and achieve their own individual goals.
Yeah, and because I was going to ask you about that. I was going to say, how do you go about kind of navigating? So how would your volunteers navigate what each individual athlete's special needs are? And you talked about the one-on-one. So it really is individualized.
It's very much individualized. We provide orientation for new volunteers. None of the volunteers has to come with us with the experience. So every time new volunteer arrives, we provide orientation. We also have a profile of our athletes, and each volunteer before session, they receive the profile of a child they're going to be working with, which explains give helpful tips and hints how to work with particular child and what to play and what kind of sports activities this child likes to do. So we have really good system in educating to some extent volunteers before they enter the gym and work with our kids.
It sounds so there is a lot of fun, like you talked about, but it really is a little bit more of a complicated system, and you need that in order to make it a little more individualized and to make sure that every athlete is getting what they need. Beata, we're going to take a short break, and then when we return, we'll talk a little bit more about how the athletes and the volunteers work together, as well as what's going on with Keen for the Future. Okay?
Sure.
We'll be right back.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
How was school?
Music can help you express how you're feeling. When you can't find the language, find the lyrics.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3. I'm talking with Beata Okulska, Executive Director of Kids Enjoy Exercise Now, or KEEN. We were talking before the break, Beata, about the volunteers and the athletes coming together. I imagine there's also some long-term friendships, relationships that, because they're built over this period of time, they remain for beyond the 25 years that the youth or the young adult is in the program.
Absolutely. We have volunteers who've been with us for almost 30 years from the beginning. We have also, the organization was established originally for kids, but as you can imagine, our kids grew up to be teenagers.
Right.
So we extended the programs for teenage groups, and then those teenagers became young adults, and we couldn't say no for those who've been involved with us for so many years.
Right.
That is relationship with our athletes build relationships with our volunteers throughout those years and with the organization. So and we are growing, and we are planning to expand the programs coming this fall to more locations.
That's great. Well, I wanted to also ask you about raising the awareness around people living with disabilities and how this kind of program that, as I said before, it is a lot of fun. It's important for those who are taking advantage of the activities, but I imagine that you have, through the organization itself, helped to really raise some visibility in the community about children, youth, young adults that are living with disabilities.
Absolutely. As I've mentioned previously, our athletes completely changed perception of people with disabilities among our volunteers. They teach to be tolerant. They teach volunteers how to be patient, how to be open-minded, how to accept differences in people. And as a result of our athletes' impact on volunteers, I have to tell you, we have a lot of high school students who decide to go to either medical school or a special educational field. We have volunteers who became doctors because our athletes impacted them that way. So the organization and our athletes has a huge impact on the entire community.
Beata, you talked about expanding to open in more areas. We only have about 1 minute left, but where are you expanding in Montgomery County?
Right now, our programs are mostly in the Bethesda area,
Okay.
But hopefully, starting this fall, we're gonna be adding additional programs in Tacoma. So the works are going on, and communication with different schools in Tacoma are going right now, and hopefully we will be able to do it.
Great. Well, Beata, that's the end of our time, and I want to thank you for providing this service not only to the youth that take advantage of it, but to the whole community. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
To learn more about Kids Enjoy Exercise Now, visit their website. It is KEEN, KEEN, greaterdc.org. Thanks to Montgomery Community Media for letting me help to bring you this valuable information. I'm Kim Jones, and I'll see you next time on Studio 501c3.